But first, there is breaking news out of California right now where federal agents showed up to raid a marijuana farm. It may have been an illegal marijuana farm, we don't know. But protesters showed up to defend the pot farm and the people working there. Says a lot about the priorities on the left. ICE agents threw tear gas to disperse the crowds and detained multiple, if not dozens, of workers, possibly who are here in the country illegally. President Trump and his team promised to increase the raids in blue cities and in red states across the country. But the breaking news that we're watching highlights a much bigger issue, and that's our Why It Matters memo tonight. As I said, you're not going to hear this anywhere else on TV. It's time to talk about amnesty. Call it whatever you want, parole, probation. We're talking about letting some illegal immigrants stay in the country, not the ones who work on illegal pot farms, not ones who commit crimes, but hardworking folks who haven't broken any laws other than being here illegally, that the rest of us rely on for our everyday lives. President Trump, in fact, said as much a few days ago.
If a farmer is willing to vouch for these people, in some way, Christy, I think we're going to have to just say that's going to be good, right? You know, we're going to be good with it, because we don't want to do it where we take all of the workers off the farms.
You can't take all the workers off the farms. And it's not just farms, hotels, restaurants, meatpacking plants, construction sites, you name it. And there is no better person to talk about this than President Trump. Political capital is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger you get. And President Trump is riding high right now. The stock market closed at another record high, up 25% from Liberation Day. Remember, every other cable network said your 401k was going to pot from tariffs. Stock market's up 25%. The border is closed. About that, there is no question. Iran's nuclear program is a pile of rocks. There could be a real deal in the Middle East. And as Chris and I were just talking about, there is significant, real, meaningful, and progress on dealing with Russia. So that's on the ledger of Trump's successes. He's got political capital. And it's clear Democrats are not going to lead on the issue of immigration. They're not willing to get rid of sanctuary cities. They're not willing to have their cities, their mayors, their police cooperate with ICE. So immigration right now presents the Republicans with both a danger and opportunity. The danger is Americans are going to get tired of seeing nonviolent gardeners dragged away in Home Depot parking lots, not to mention what's going to happen, an increase in food prices and housing costs. That doesn't poll well. It just doesn't. Now for the opportunity. Trump wants a legacy. What better than solving the immigration crisis in America? Obama, Biden, Bush came closest, but none of them could get it done. Not even close. Trump can. Trump could propose a plan for immigration as simple as this, and we have a list somewhere. A fully and permanent secure border, end of sanctuary cities, more legal immigration, automatic deportation of any illegal immigrant convicted of a crime. Minor traffic offenses don't count. A pathway to citizenship or permanent legal residency, some kind of parole for illegal immigrants who are otherwise productive members of society. It is very simple, and it would be an incredible legacy. So, of course, MAGA is going to scream after Trump's speech about farmers, Axios published. MAGA on amnesty watch as Trump weighs migrant worker protections. And Trump knows that word, amnesty, is toxic.
There's no amnesty. What we're doing is we're getting rid of criminals, but we are doing a work program. We've got to give the farmers the people they need, but we're not talking amnesty.
All right, so nobody in the Republican Party likes amnesty, and certainly when you see these pictures, it makes you angry. So call it something else. Call it parole, probation, anything. Remember the open border under Biden. The Democratic president could easily reopen the border if they win in 2028. We would see these pictures all over again. The only way to actually, truly deal with America's immigration problem and seal the border once and for all, which you can do, is for it to happen in Congress. And Trump wins either way. Either he's the president to finally fix the immigration system, or he exposes Democrats as complete frauds. Political power is only worth having if you use it. Now is the opportunity.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.